So I finally finished it, and I've been so excited to tell you all about it. And I don't even know how to describe it, except that it is absolutely one of the top 5 books I've ever read in my entire life. And I like books, and George Eliot's Middlemarch is absolutely fantastic. We read it in my little family book club, and I knew it was one of those big fat classics, and I had heard that quote from Virginia Woolf that Middlemarch is one of the only books written in English for adults, which is a hell of a thing to say. And it's true, actually. I've never seen anything like it. In one sense, it's a historical novel set in a fictional English village around the time of the political reforms. It was written only 50 years after the birth of the novel and Dickens. Once Dickens died, George Eliot was the number one writer in all of England. And I think at that point, it was an open secret that George Eliot was actually a woman. And it also makes this book all the better, because sometimes she'll say stuff about women that if a guy said it, he would be getting smacked, and all of us would look back on him with chagrin. And instead, she is so nuanced with both genders. And what really makes her fantastic isn't just her love of detail, her even giving characteristics of the inside of the mind of the dogs in the scene. It's that she will drop in these little ideas about how humans work and why they do things. And that's what made this book one of the most depthful things I've ever seen in my entire life. It has a lot of characters. It can get confusing. I mostly stayed on top of it. You could always use that trick of writing the characters in the front, but I bet an audiobook version of this would just roll over you and be absolutely phenomenal. You don't exactly have to keep the characters straight. You're not doing a book study on this. But she will just say things that will drop your jaw about this is why people do this. This is what motivates us. And the only other person I can think of at that kind of level, Jane Austen in terms of the characters, but Willa Cather in terms of the insights into humanity that she shares. It's a gigantic book. It took me a long time, but I also read it slowly because it was so rich and so wonderful. So maybe the only other tribute I could do is to just walk through some of my favorite lines from the book. But they're not great quotes, but I could do that if people were interested. But I just want to get on here and with all my heart say, if you ever had any interest in old books, this one.